everyone. Welcome to the next series of Vartalaap. So today is going to be a very special day. We have some accomplished doctors with us today talking about mental health. It's been on our agenda for quite some time. So I'm sure you understand how important it is to understand that medical practitioners are very busy and they have this profession where they hardly have time for themselves and for their family. So we wanted to understand how do they maintain their mental health and also give us tips on it. So we have three amazing doctors with us today, Dr. Siddharth, Dr. Surinder Bedi, and Dr. Radhakrishna Rao. I'll quickly go over the introductions. Dr. Radhakrishna Rao is a very accomplished senior orthopedic surgeon, presently heading OrthoHexagon Group, working as Chief Consultant Orthopedic and Joint Replacement Surgeon, Pratima Hospitals Group. Will also be joining Connect Diagnostics as CEO very soon. He calls himself a healthcare leader, mentor, and a lifelong learner. Thank you so much, RK sir, for joining us today. Next, we have Dr. Siddharth. He's the head of department and consultant neonatologist, Ramakrishna Hospital, Coimbatore. He's an MD in pediatrics and holds fellowship in neonatal perinatal medicine from University of Calgary, Canada. Thank you, Dr. Siddharth, for joining us today. Then we have Dr. Surinder Bedi, medical director in Indus Healthcare Hospitals, Mohali, Chandigarh. He's a critical care specialist and also has worked in cardiac critical care. So without any further ado, I will start off with the questions that I've wanted to always ask. So most importantly, what I wanted to first ask is, I think I will ask you, Bedi sir, what does being in good mental health mean to you as a person?
Being good mental health is being happy, is being at peace with yourself, and at being peace with your surroundings. I think that's basically, that's the best way I can describe mental health. Mental health also means that not only you are in consonance with what's happening around, but it also means that you keep anybody who comes in contact with you as a part of your daily routine, or not even as a part of your daily routine. I mean, in a positive attitude and behave in a positive way.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Aki sir, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's a question which doesn't have an answer for me yet fully. See, personally, if I can sleep peacefully in the night, and when I get up, I don't have to really rush into a lot of thoughts. I mean, that's the peace of mind which I have. That's what I think is mentally very healthy. Okay, if my sleep is disturbed before going to sleep, or if my sleep is disturbed when I'm waking up in the morning, then I think there's something wrong. And I think as very put it, definitely not just you, but your family, your friends, your colleagues, people across your horizon, if they are, with you in same zone,
Right.
then I think you're mentally healthy, and also probably giving them the right vibes. That's what I feel.
Wow, that's very nice. That's very nice. Yes, Dr. Siddharth.
Yeah. You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it's what the other two speakers have said. I think basically when you're at peace and you feel happy and content with what you're doing today, send out positive vibes in your environment so that whoever is working with you also has that same positive energy being felt. So I think that is your mental health being good. If you are really in an irritable state and you're chasing something all the time, you're worried about chasing something, ultimately you throw out negative vibes, right? So, and that affects the whole health of not just you, everybody around us. So I think that's what I think.
in continuation with this question, so how do you guys handle that? How do you guys actually take measures in having a good night's sleep, if I have to put it in a simple way? Yes, Dr. Siddharth, you tell me.
No, see, night sleep is not not something that is, that's a luxury actually. So it only happens alternate days, right? And that too with difficulty if nobody else calls you. So no, night sleep is not the target. Having peace is the target.
Yeah. Okay. Irrespective of if you're losing your sleep or not, how peaceful are you?
Peaceful. No, see, that's what I was trying to say. See, initially when you get into a job, try to do this ICU work, obviously it's very intensive. It drains your energy, your emotions. You're worried about not just your patients, but their families.
Right.
You get involved emotionally with them. So our challenge is always to slightly keep away, though, it's very, very difficult not to be emotionally involved. But then to know your space, to see that you are healthy, that you're not getting too affected by what you do and what you observe, and don't bring it home. So this is what, because most of the time, especially when you work in ICUs and you see deaths happening, or when you're, we try not to bring it home. So, so the way to keep peace is come back, do something else which doesn't make you think of work. So I prefer to do some gardening, yoga, go play badminton. So that's how, I think and spend some time with family together.
Great. Dr. Bedi.
Indeed, it's very difficult to keep sanity and keep that positivity going on all the time. But then you have to actively work on your mental health. As I would say, the best stress busters are your kids, your family, your friends, and the pals, people. Everybody has in their life a person who makes you feel light in any moment, in any situation. So talking to that person, talking to those, it may be one person, it may be two persons, more. Then keeping some vocation apart from your professional life, keeping something which keeps you busy, which you do like doing. For me, I like cooking, so I cook. There I'm very stressed. I cook for family. It takes stress off me, and then I'm even practicing, mindfulness, or what they will call, practicing giving yourself 5 minutes, maybe in 24 hours, and trying to keep your mind free of any thoughts.
That's lovely.
That gives you a lot of peace, I think. Those are some active interventions I generally personally do to keep myself sane.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, Ake sir.
Well, when I started my practice around 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been answering this question at all. I didn't know what exactly, how to do it. But over a period of time, what I learned is you need to have a team for everything. A team at home, your family, your kids is your team. At profession, whatever you do, you need to have a team which takes care of a few things at least, if not everything. And you also have a team of friends whom you depend on for everything, almost everything other than profession. And over a period of time, that's what I did. I have a group for everything now. And I share things with different groups with different things. And every day I spend at least 12 to 15 minutes in the morning in a prayer room. I always do it for the last 15 years. Wow. Not a single day I missed it. And that 15 minutes gives me sanity for the whole day. I'll just think about what's going to happen and how I'm going to handle it. And what happened yesterday and what's going to come on today. And once you think about it for the first few minutes of your day, I think you definitely get a lot of clarity. And everybody, I think, should practice it, thinking about it for just 10-15 minutes. And once you think through, I'm sure a lot of pressure is off. If you suddenly happen to face something which you're not expecting,
Right.
That's when the stress goes up. That's when you're worried. That's when your anxiety starts showing up. So that's what I practice, and that's how I handle multiple things now. Because I don't believe in silos. I don't believe in a single person doing things. I always believe in a good team. Your success depends on which team you are choosing. I mean, the team members, and it need not be a big team. Probably a couple of people everywhere, and that's what I think makes the whole difference. And over a period of time, I think that's what I did through my profession and my family. I have two kids who are very actively with me all the time, whenever I'm home or away. My wife is a big support. Being a doctor, she understands my professional pressures. They need to understand it very well. I mean, they should know what are your limitations with regards to your time, with regards to your emotions, your outbursts, and things like that.
Yeah.
And that helps actually. They understand it well, meaning you're 90% of the job done. Your pressure is off most of the time. I think if somebody asks me what I do other than practicing my medicine, I actually talk to a lot of people in my professional this thing. I keep talking to people. I always want to know what is the other person's perspective,
Right.
how they think, what are they going through, and things like that. And being in management, it helped because I had the privilege to, get to talk to a lot of people.
Right.
And I'm also very politically active. Not politics, not into politics, but I'm very politically active. So I read a lot. I read, do follow the news and things like that, which will take me off my day-to-day things completely when I'm into that phase. So everybody will have some space like that. They should identify it and develop it. And that's how they can come off this lot of anxiety and stress.
Great, great. So I think from what all of you had said, so your family always is like your rock, the support that you get. I think because of that, you have the extra zeal and extra enthusiasm and energy to do more. I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen.
I think at that point, just interrupting you there, but I think because you know that my wife is an intensivist as well, we have the additional challenge of managing the family and taking call. So we try to do not to take calls on the same days so that somebody is there with the kids. So that's an additional stress. But then, that's also, as Dr. Rao was saying, that, your spouse will understand if she's in the same profession. So their extended family also is a big help, right? So my parents stay with us and my in-laws are close by. So we take their help a lot. So that kind of lessens the stress in when you worry about who will take care of the kids when you are both away at nights, right? So that's there.
That's very rightly said. So extending this to a little more. So how did you handle work during pandemic? I think pandemic has hit us in multiple ways than we could have ever imagined. You guys, the healthcare workers, irrespective of whether it's a doctor, a nurse, or a lab technician, or anybody, they were prone to the virus firsthand. How did you guys handle pandemic as such? We've seen a lot of casualties in each of our families. We've lost so many people. And I'm sure you have seen all of that firsthand through your eyes, and you must have treated a lot of patients as well. Dr. Bedi, how did you do it? Because I think intensive care is your specialty. So I think all of this, you must have, it's very difficult for people to actually understand what the situation is. I'm sure you have seen it firsthand. So how did you handle it? How did you handle pandemic?
Indeed, pandemic was one of the worst times probably in my life, as an intensivist, as a doctor, as a human being,
Yes.
and as a relative,
Right.
just as a pal. So professionally, it was very draining. Personally, to me, as an administrator, we had a lot of challenges. In the terms that on the very first day, I took the first patient in, COVID patient. If you remember, initially it was a big taboo and
Correct.
nobody knew anything. There was a lot
Right.
of WhatsApp nonsense going around, and
Yes.
there was a lot of hearsay and a lot of rumors. And even we didn't, nobody on the earth, knew what this disease is.
Correct.
So when it first hit us somewhere in May of 2020, it came to Punjab around that time.
Right.
And my hospital, luckily or unluckily, was situated in the village where the pandemic hit Punjab first time.
Oh.
We had 40 cases on the very first day in that very village. And a lot of my staff was, especially the helpers and the cleaners, were from that particular village.
Oh.
So we had staff challenges.
Right.
Another unique challenge I would like to share is that on the very first day I took the first patient in, 22 of my staff resigned because of pressure from their families, or they were afraid of it because they didn't know anything about the disease. And we all know those situations where they were not being accepted back by the families. I got a lot of call from the fathers and the parents of my nurses, especially the young ones, that we should take care of them. Their girls would rather not work, than to die. And then we had to hire, rent out a lot, whole hotels, so because nobody was allowing them back home. So there were hotels, we had to rent out the whole hotel and give these guys accommodation.
Wow.
So it was very stressful, extremely stressful as an administrator, as a critical care specialist. We were never trained to handle so much of criticality.
Right.
There was a time, first time in my life. I've been working in PGI Chandigarh, which is one of the busiest hospital across Asia.
Yes. Yes.
So I saw initially we had a 14-bedded COVID dedicated ICU. There was one particular night, and first time in my life, when we went back in the morning, all 14 patients had died. We were not used to handling 14 dead bodies at a time. There were logistic issues. We didn't even have enough, logistic to support this. There were times when the families were not coming to claim the bodies, so we had to keep them out. And it was very hot, June, July, those times. It was very hot in this part of the world, and we had to keep those bodies for 2 or 3 days. And we were not allowed by the administration also to hand over the bodies to the loved ones. So we had to cremate them. We had to hand them over to the administration, and they used to cremate them. So a lot of, that was bad time. I pray to God that that time never comes back.
Right.
There were times I felt I'll have a nervous breakdown. We had bad time. I really wish. There were a lot of pressures from all around. The pressures were there. You were worried that when you go home, you might infect your old aging parents.
Yes.
Who had a lot of comorbidities already. You were afraid that you'll give the infection to your own kids.
Right.
Then, being the medical director, being a critical care specialist, I had to lead from the front. There were times when people were afraid going into the ICU altogether. So I had to go on those. And you have heard stories that how difficult it was initially to work, with all those PPEs on you, and then hardly able to breathe. whereas you didn't want a lot of people to change shifts, right? We didn't have enough resources.
Right.
There were oxygen. We know that there was oxygen crisis in between for a brief period. So all those things, and there were a lot of, there was a time when we had less number of beds, more number of patients. So you had pressures from local politicians, the police officials, your own loved ones who wanted to be in your own ICU, right? And you couldn't give them a bed. So it was pretty stressful. There were times when a lot of us, just broke down. Those are bad times. I don't know how we handle the stress. I am not able to explain it, but I just wish it shouldn't happen again.
Wow. My goodness, that was overwhelming actually. Dr. Siddharth, what did you see? I mean, how did you handle pandemic?
Yeah, I think Dr. Bedi covered most of it. We were lucky in the sense that the newborns and pediatric cases were less affected in the first wave. Though in the second wave we saw cases, it was less critical. But our major issue was manpower. Because many of them got quarantined. Initially, we didn't know what this disease was. So even for COVID positive deliveries, we would all, gown up if it was available. And then we didn't know what to do with babies initially, delivered from to COVID positive moms. So those were main confusions. And then we had a lot of nurses who went off, junior doctors who went to work, or they went home, or they got sick. So practically, I think in the second wave, we were like 3 months in the hospital ourselves, day and night, and there was just absolutely no help from anybody. So that was that was the main problem. The second peculiar to the NICU was the parents who had COVID. Many of them, not many, like a few of them did die. And we had babies who were without mother, without father, and babies who were in NICU who survived. But one of the parents died. In a rare case, both parents were, not there. So those were very tricky and difficult to handle. And third, as Dr. Mary was saying, we were always worried about how we would infect our parents and the kids. So that stress was quite huge. Come back home, wash ourselves some 3-4 times, and then again go back to the same thing again and again. So yeah, so those were. I think by the time the second wave in the middle, we had the second wave done, I think we kind of got used to how to handle this better. But until then, it was stressful.
Just the word stressful is making me stressful right now. How did you guys handle it? So tell me, did you seek any help anytime during your experience or during your study? Dr. Siddharth, did you anytime seek help?
No, I did not seek professionally, but I think I was at a point very close to seeking when I was in post-graduation. The first year of postgraduation was very tough. So I think was very, very down at that time. But then my wife was there studying along with me. I think that helped. We were not married, but we were friends. So I think being close to somebody there, it pulled me through that. But after that, there have been stressful times, but talking to family, talking to friends helps. As long as Dr. Bedi said to take help, and I think many of us do, but I personally haven't yet.
Okay, great. RK sir.
Yeah, same here. Never really took any professional help, but as Bedi was saying, we have a lot of friends in the same profession with whom we keep talking, and that helps. And my dad at 84 is pretty active. He's always there. I keep talking to him. He's very, very knowledgeable, up to date, and just is a big support system. Whenever you are a little down, you just call him and he'll say, "I've seen all this. Don't worry." And that's one thing. And you're off it most of the time. And my wife, being a doctor herself, she understands a lot of things. So, and I have a couple of good friends from medical side and a couple of good friends from non-medical side. That also helps basically. So they are completely chilled out when you say, I'm going through this and all that, and say, oh, it's nonsense. Just leave it and come join us. I think that's the support system which really helps. And everybody should have something like that. Somebody to hear you out. They don't have to really do anything. They just need to give some time to hear. And then if they can really give you some suggestion. Most of the times you know what is to be done. But still, if somebody hears you out, I think that takes most of the stress out. That's what we are doing all this time, and planning to continue the same.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. I think it has been a great pleasure talking to all of you. I've been very, very sweet, patient, and pretty good a sport in answering all my questions. And to all our viewers, so irrespective of what you're doing, where you are, it is important you have somebody to lean on to. You don't need to really seek professional help to let the stress out of your mind. You need to de-stress yourself. You need to vent. So it is very important that you talk to somebody. As Dr. Bedi has rightly mentioned, there will be one person always. Find that person. Talk to that person. You'll be sane, you'll be happy, and I'm sure you will keep that as a process to cleanse your thoughts. On that note, thank you all so much, and it's been a pleasure, and hope we'll keep meeting on this forum as often as possible. And Tere, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Was a great interaction, and I wish you all the best, Harika. Keep doing it. It definitely helps a lot of people.
Thank you, RK sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else that I should have asked is what you guys can tell me. I thought I've covered decent questions enough that people get a good insight into all of your lives. So.
Yeah, I think those were good. I think we had a good discussion. And
yes.
I think people will know what doctors go through.
I know. I think it was also a good idea the others dropped out, because I don't think we would have done justice to all of them speaking at one time. So I think
whatever happens for me.
Yes, I know. On that note, good night. See you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Nice, Dr. Bedi.
Nice.
Nice.
Bye, Siddharth. Bye.